Help me reach 1,000 subscribes. Support the video with a like and leave your thoughts in the comments. I read every comment. Thanks. I never thought a Wednesday evening could feel like the slow unraveling of everything I believed I knew about my life. My name is Ethan, 38, married to Claire for 11 years, and we've always been what people call stable. Not flashy, not extraordinary, just comfortable. We had routines, dinners, weekend errands, occasional movie nights, and the subtle rhythm of familiarity. It was peaceful, predictable, and somewhere deep down, I convinced myself that was enough. That was until tonight. I got home later than usual. The fluorescent office lights still buzzing in my head. The hum of traffic on the street adding a strange rhythm to my thoughts. I had half a mind to text Claire that I'd be late, but I didn't. Habit, maybe laziness, maybe a lingering need to see her reaction when I walked in without warning. She liked little surprises, or at least I thought she did. The house smelled normal. Dinner simmering in the kitchen. Faint hints of lavender from the candle on the living room table. The comforting jumble of laundry folded and waiting to be put away. I hung my jacket, my briefcase still in hand, and paused at the threshold. That's when I noticed the laughter. Soft, flirty, not the kind she reserved for our conversations or playful banter. It was different, slightly breathy, teasing, intimate. My chest tightened, a knot forming that I couldn't quite place. I followed the sound to the kitchen doorway. Claire was there, leaning casually against the counter, sipping from a coffee mug, her hair cascading over one shoulder in that effortless way she knew I liked. And there was someone else, a man I didn't recognize immediately, though she introduced him as a new coworker last month. His arm brushed hers, just a little too casually, their bodies angled inward. They laughed together at something I couldn't hear, and I froze for a moment, trying to convince myself that maybe, just maybe, it wasn't what it looked like, but I knew better. I felt in my gut, a cold certainty that spread through my chest like ice. I had seen those small signs before, the subtle changes in our intimacy, the hushed tones when we spoke on the phone, the faint distance growing between us over past few months. I had ignored it, telling myself life gets complicated, stress builds up, work pressures mount. I had ignored it until now. Claire looked up and our eyes met. That moment, the second she saw me standing there, her expression changed. The flirtatious warmth froze into rigid surprise, like a deer caught in headlights. Her lips parted slightly, but no words came. The man next to her stiffened, awkwardly taking a half step back, clearly aware that something was wrong. I didn't say anything at first. I just stood there, letting the silence hang heavy in the room, letting it press down on all of us. My heart pounded, not with rage, not with betrayal alone, but with a strange mix of disbelief and recognition. Everything I had suspected, every uneasy feeling I had pushed aside, crystallized into one sharp, undeniable truth. Claire finally whispered. Ethan, her voice trembled slightly, though she tried to steady it. I didn't answer. I just walked into the kitchen slowly, letting each step carry the weight of the years we had spent together, the trust one had given her, the love I thought we shared. Every step was measured, deliberate, quiet, until I was standing in front of her, face to face with the reality I had been fearing. I didn't expect you home so soon, she said, attempting casual, but the quiver in her tone betrayed her. The man was silent now, hands awkwardly at his sides, unsure where to look. I didn't need to speak. The truth of the moment was louder than any words could be. We stood there for what felt like an eternity. I could see it. The tiny things she hadn't noticed she did in his presence, the way her hand lingered too long on the counter after he left it, the subtle tilt of her body toward him even in the brief seconds before she realized I was watching. Each detail a dagger of clarity. Finally, I exhaled slowly, the tension in my shoulders refusing to leave. Claire, I said, my voice low, steady, we need to talk. It wasn't a question, it was a declaration. The room shrank around us. The man, unsure what to do, stepped toward the door, muttering some awkward excuse before disappearing into the hallway, leaving us alone. Her eyes met mine, wide and searching, but she didn't say anything. I realized something crucial in that silence. This wasn't just about one stolen laugh, one casual touch, or one moment of misplaced affection. It was about everything she had withheld over the months. The invisible chasm that had grown between us while I continued to believe we were partners in every sense of the word. And then the weight of it all hit me, not just hurt or anger, but the sharp clarity of betrayal. I had been living a lie in my own home, pretending that small signs didn't matter, convincing myself that love could endure anything. But love, I realized, isn't about pretending. It's about presence, attention, choice. And tonight, her choice was unmistakably clear. I stepped back, letting her see the distance I had created. Not as a threat, not as punishment, but as truth. And in that pause, I understood something fundamental. There is a moment in every relationship where the illusion ends, and you're left staring at reality, raw and unfiltered. This was that moment. The clock ticked on, the house silent except for the faint hum of the refrigerator. Claire opened her mouth, maybe to explain, to apologize, to deny, but the words never came. And in that unspoken gap, I felt the first real pulse of something I hadn't felt in months. Control. Not over her, but over myself. I had been reactive, hopeful, patient. Tonight, I would be neither. I would be present, and I would be honest with myself for the first time in a long while. And so, I let the silence stretch, letting the truth between us breathe, letting the room hold the weight of what had just unfolded. It wasn't dramatic, it wasn't cinematic, it was just real, and that was worse than anything I could have imagined. The moment stretched longer than I expected. Claire's eyes flickered between mine, searching for something, an excuse, an apology, perhaps a way to make the impossible less real. But there was nothing to find. I had seen enough, known enough, and understood enough to see the truth clearly. I saw everything. I said finally, my voice calm but firm, carrying the weight of every year we had spent together. I saw the way you laughed at him, the way you leaned in, the way you forgot I was even here. Do you understand what that feels like? She swallowed hard, biting her lip, trying to form words that never came out. Her hands fidgeted at the edge of the counter, twisting the ceramic mug like it was some lifeline. I realized then that she hadn't anticipated this reaction from me. Not anger, not screaming, not begging, but clarity. The kind of clarity that comes from staring at betrayal long enough to recognize that nothing she says will fix what's already broken. Ethan, she began, her voice barely above a whisper, then stopped. She knew that any explanation would feel hollow. She had frozen the moment she saw me, and now, faced with my quiet certainty, she had no narrative left to cling to. I stepped closer, closing the space between us, not in aggression, but to let her feel the gravity of what had been lost. I can't do this anymore, I said. I can't pretend that everything is okay when it clearly isn't. I've been patient, I've been hopeful, and I've been blind. But not tonight. The words hung in the air, heavy and final. Her face fell, and for the first time in years, I saw something that resembled fear, or perhaps recognition, that the life we had built was crumbling. I didn't move to touch her, didn't raise my voice, didn't even raise my hand. All I did was stand there, letting the truth between us settle like dust in a silent room. She finally stepped back, a hand pressed to her chest, as if to steady her rapid heartbeat. Ethan, it's not what you think, she tried, her voice quivering. But I shook my head gently. It is exactly what I think, I said. I don't need proof. I don't need excuses. I just need honesty. And right now, all I see is the choice you've made. Silence fell again. The kitchen, once filled with warmth and routine, now felt cold and unfamiliar. The soft hum of the refrigerator became deafening, a reminder that nothing would return to normal tonight, or perhaps ever. I could feel my own pulse, sharp and erratic, a mix of anger, hurt, and an unexpected surge of liberation. Then she spoke, her voice breaking. Ethan, I didn't mean for it to. I held up a hand. Stop. Don't say anything. Just go. Her eyes widened. Go. Yes. I need space. You need to think. We both need to decide what happens next, but not like this. Not while pretending everything is fine. Go. I repeated, firmer this time. And she did. She didn't argue, didn't protest, didn't beg. She simply walked toward the door, shoulders slumped, her expression a mixture of guilt, shame, and surprise that I wasn't collapsing, yelling, or crying. She left quietly, the faint click of the door echoing like a punctuation mark on everything that had just happened. I stood there for a long time after she left, staring at the space she had occupied, the air still tinged with the scent of her perfume. Part of me ached, not from anger, but from the sudden emptiness that came with seeing someone you love make a choice you cannot undo. Another part of me, though, felt something unfamiliar, clarity, control, even a strange sense of freedom. I moved to the living room, sank into the couch, and let my mind replay the moments of tonight. Every laugh, every gesture, every silent glance from the past few months that now carried the weight of betrayal. And as I replayed them, I realized something profound. I hadn't lost her tonight. I had only found myself. The days that followed were tense. Conversations were measured, every word weighted with unspoken truths. Friends and family noticed a change, my posture, my tone, the quiet strength of my presence. Claire tried to reach out, small texts, subtle gestures, but I maintained my distance, not out of spite, not out of cruelty, but out of necessity. I needed to protect my peace, my dignity, and the sense of self I had almost lost to complacency. Weeks later, we had a formal conversation. No yelling, no shouting, no dramatic accusations. Just an honest, unflinching discussion about what had happened, what she had done, and what I would no longer accept. It was awkward, uncomfortable, but it was necessary. And through it, I realized that love isn't always about holding on. It's sometimes about letting go, about acknowledging that some connections no longer serve who you are or who you need to become. Tonight, as I sit in my office, the soft glow of the desk lamp illuminating the papers in front of me, I feel a strange calm. I've been through a storm, stared betrayal in the face, and walked out not broken, but whole. I won't pretend it didn't hurt. It did, deeply, but in that hurt, I found clarity, strength, and a renewed sense of self. And as for Claire, she chose her path. I chose mine. And tonight, for the first time in months, I feel something I hadn't felt in a long time, at peace, unburdened, and ready to face whatever comes next without fear or hesitation.